Okay. All right. Welcome to Coaching Youth Hoops.
Coach.
If you like mnemonics, this is the place to be.
Yes. So, hey,
Yes.
since we have you, let's talk about speaking of that, I should say, we've talked about the last three podcasts. If you were tuning in, if you haven't, go back and check them out. We talked about kind of you're getting ready for your season. We talked about preseason 2 podcasts ago with the impact framework. We talked last week or last
Yeah.
podcast.
Last week was playbook.
Yeah, it was playbook. That's kind of putting some corners around your season planning, a little bit more details of how you want to run things within a within your practices. And today we're going to drill down into the details of actually structuring an individual practice. And we call this the compete framework.
We get asked this a lot. Before we do that, a couple things. First of all, because we haven't asked in a while, if you like these podcasts, no matter where you listen to them on YouTube, you listen to them on Spotify or Apple, we would love if you'd leave a review. We read them all. 5-star. If you're going to leave a 1-star, then I don't know, go walk the dog or take up curling or something. I don't know.
Only
Don't leave a
five.
review. Only 5. We only want 5s,
We only want
please. But anyway, if you do like them and you want us to keep going, we would love that.
They probably, if they didn't like it, they're not listening anymore.
That's true. You're probably sick of Coach Collins' voice. If anyone hasn't noticed, the voice is different when we're doing this in August than it is in January.
I'd love to compare those two. We'd bring that into AI.
We'll have to, that would be a funny
Yeah.
TikTok. We compare voices,
Oh
Coach
yeah.
Collins' voices through the year, each month. It'd be funny. Be like, oh, it sounds like I smoked 12 packs of cigarettes during the middle of basketball season.
I get voice cracks after a camp, doing a camp last week,
Oh,
all day camp. Yeah.
But let's give a big shout out to our sponsor.
Yeah, Game Changer. Go to gc.com/coaching youth.
I'm
Oops, I
sorry.
just forgot
I
the
was pointing
URL
at
with
the
that pointing.
camera.
I was like,
I'm freaking out, coach. Anyone that's watching on YouTube, I was like, "Ooh, that's kind of cool. Look at how I
yeah.
did that." Anyway, sorry. People are listening don't know
uh,
why coach is chuckling and pausing
yeah.
because I was pointing at the
gc.com
camera.
forward slash coaching youth hoops. Check out Game Changer. They are responsible for bringing this content to you today for free. And speaking of free, they are a free tool
They are
that you
free.
need in your toolbox
Yes.
to help you become a better coach. Stop wasting time. Just go to gc.com forward slash coaching youth hoops. Organize your schedule, stats, communication with your parents, all in one tool. It's AI built in so you can get real-time stats. gc.com, one more time, forward slash coaching youth hoops.
Boom. Awesome. Before we jump in, you haven't even like commented on
Oh
I'm
my
not
gosh,
wearing my GC shirt today. I
yeah.
should be. I think I left it at the lake. But
You're
yeah,
Calistoga.
Calistoga.
Yeah.
Anybody knows where Calistoga is, put that in the show notes. I'd be interested. You know where it is?
Leave a comment.
In the comments. Leave it in the comments. Where is Calistoga? Yeah. Anyway, been there. Love it. Haven't been. I'll give you a hint. I have not been to the French Laundry, so I'll give you a hint.
Oh, yeah, I haven't either.
You haven't?
No.
I'm
I
watching
need
the
to.
I'm watching the Bear right now. We're gonna get off top. I know we're not
Oh,
gonna get
yeah.
off topic, but the Bear is really good.
The Bear is really good. That's
It's really good. I'm on season. I've literally watched 3 seasons in like 2 weeks. So
yeah, it's absolutely it's
A
incredible.
plus,
So,
A
yeah.
plus. Okay, it's related to Calistoga and the French. Anyway, side note. All right, what are we on? Compete today.
Yeah, we
Mnemonics.
yes.
COMPETE. Yes.
And one more URL, coaches, write this down. We'll put it in the show notes. But uh, we created a season planning document, and it walks you through. And I think it ended up being 283 questions, all organized preseason all the way through postseason, things to think about, obviously skip chapters, but it's all organized there for you. So you have a guide. This is something I wished I had because I stumbled through and a season and didn't think out the next step. I just thought about, oh my gosh, I have practice
I
tonight.
know.
What am I going to do?
It's
Well,
why we started coaching youth hoops
that's
because we
right.
both wish we'd have had this. I know. I know.
And so the season, go to coachingyouthhoops.com/season dash checklist. It's a free download, basically a cheat sheet with 280 questions to help you plan out your season. Again, or even if you're mid-season, you're listening to this, doesn't matter. It'll guide you through your next steps, step by step, everything you need right there. coachingyouthhoops.com/season checklist. I have the URL up and I'm looking at us on video while we're recording
Recording
this,
it.
the video on the site, and you're all animated. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. Compete framework,
Anyway,
coach. All right.
sorry for the people that the long talking and ads and
Well, these are important stuff. There's a
it
lot
is,
right
it
now. We got
is,
a
it is.
lot of
And
great
we all know
content
you're
on the
coming
site.
up on you're knocking on that season. So I
Yeah,
get
yeah.
it. Yes, yes.
We just again, we want to
You get
make sure that
excited.
you have a full toolbox of tools that you at your disposal so you're ready to go.
Right.
All right, let's talk about the compete framework. So this should help you when you're creating a practice plan and think about an individual practice plan. Last week, if you want to know how to create a season-long thought, get your thoughts down on paper, go listen to that. That is the playbook framework. This is the compete framework. All right, let's talk about it. Conditioning, that's the first C. So what are you going to do for conditioning? O is your objectives, your goals, right, for that particular practice. Uh, your mechanics, these are the fundamentals. What are the mechanics you're going to work on? Or even prioritize, right? You as an individual coach. And then your play. This is your game, your small-sided games and your situations and all of your scrimmages, right? Um, are your practices, I mean, are your drills set up as scrimmages? And then, of course, assess the performance. Like, what do you do? What's the feedback? This is really important. A lot of kids stop sports because of this one thing, which is the evaluation, right? You're either giving them way too much, not enough, or it's very negative. It's not supportive. So, how much are you evaluating during a practice? What's your team building exercises for practice? How are you uniting your team? I don't care if you have one practice a week, it's something. What is the one thing you're going to bond your team with today? And then your kind of your end game or your end of practice, cool down, your review, your clap at the end, your cheer,
Right.
the
Whatever it
message you
is.
want them
Yeah.
to walk away with. Um, so yeah, that's your compete framework. So your conditioning workouts, your objectives, your goals for that particular practice. What's the one thing you want to walk away, you want players to walk away with? Your mechanics. So these are the fundamentals you want to teach that week, that practice. Your playing, how much playing are you going to do in practice, like actual playing, 1-on-1, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, etc. And then how much are you evaluating and what is your evaluation communication to your players? Team building activities. Again, this could be a fun, just one fun game of knockout, right? Doesn't have, or you might do, we have different things to the red dot that we do, our red dot framework, and then your end of game cool down, recap, cheer, whatever you do at the end. Does that make sense, Coach?
It does. It does. And the thing is, I think what you got, we can talk about some of these individually, but I think you
Yeah,
have to think about percentage of.
correct.
So think about it in terms of like for those that are driving or whatever, think about it as a pizza or a pie,
Hi.
basically. And it's 100%. That entire pizza. I did have a square pizza last night. But anyway, but it's let's percent it's a circle. What percentage of that? Because this is where I've had to help coaches before, is what percentage needs to go to what things,
Yeah.
how much are you going to spend on conditioning versus play or game like or small side.
Mhm.
So I'd be intrigued what you think about that, coach, as far as when
Well,
you're
and a
planning
lot of
out.
these, yeah, and a lot of these things, like we don't do, at least I don't specifically do, I'll do a warm up. It's quick, right? And we'll do some stretching, some dynamic stretching, that type of thing. But or ball handling, just stationary to get them in the mode, and depending on the team, or I might just start them running right away if they have a lot of energy coming into the gym. But I don't. when I say conditioning, too, I want to be very clear. Am I incorporating a warm up? I think you should. But then are my drills also conditioning? So are we moving quick enough that they're getting the conditioning? And that's how you make the best of the limited practice time you have, right? Don't don't set
Right.
it don't set 10 minutes for conditioning, right? It should be
You can do conditioning maybe within your
that's
transition
right.
drills or
That's right.
within
Yep.
like, I don't know, something like that. Um, there's
And then
multiple
just
ways. Yeah.
well, and I think that the biggest thing though is when you're working on your individual practice, what are you communicating and what is the goal of this one practice? At the end of the practice, we want to make sure everyone has an understanding of X, or that we have finished implementing our offense, and that goes back to last week's discussion. But what are those objectives, and share them with them, because those kids, it helps the your child, your player, focus on that one thing. Okay, today coach is really looking for this thing, right? Whatever that one thing is. Does that make sense, coach?
I think it's I think you want to, yes, it's like a puzzle piece a little bit too. I think
Hmm.
that's the hard part about I think that's the hardest part coaches have with practice planning is that it's a little bit of that, where does everything go, you know?
Yeah.
Um
And I think your percentages, going back to your percentages, I think maybe this is more of the framework that sits over the top of maybe some of the individual chapters, if you will, like your offensive chapter, your defense, your transition to defense, transition to offense. Like what within those breakouts, like what is the percentage? This should help you come up with an individual practice, the compete framework, come up with the individual practice plan. Again, like great example is within your offense, how much are you playing? Within your defense, how much are you playing?
Right. Are
Right?
you,
You got to have
does your
play.
offense have ball screens? Do you need to work on
Right.
ball screens? Can you work on the
Yeah,
mechanics of that along with play, along with maybe a team building?
that's right.
There's none of these as far as the compete should be on an island, is what I'm
Correct.
saying.
That's perfect. Yep, exactly what to say.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
at least when I'm building a practice, if something isn't doing more than one, I don't know. It's like I don't
Yeah.
really want to do it. Um, and then I always do a good team thing with a free throw because you can build team camaraderie and do free throws at the same time, rather than just only working on free throws. You're only working on one skill, and there's so many things that happen in a basketball game. You
Yeah.
got to kind of try to multitask. I don't know. That's just kind of how I run my practices.
Well, and then getting to the next one, which is really just the evaluation. One of the things that I've learned is I'll give a drill a couple times to see if it'll work and resonate. And if it doesn't, it's on me. I just got to stop, right? It just doesn't work. We talked about this earlier in another previous podcast. Um, or a strategy, or you know what? I told my team the other day, I'm like, this is the second play. We're looking at quick hitters. And I said, they said, well, what about the quick hitter we learned a couple of weeks ago? I'm like, it just didn't work. We just didn't, we're not the right team for that particular thing.
Right.
Um,
We
and
could do a whole podcast on out of bounds
yeah,
plays, trust me,
right.
because they
Yeah,
all look really good
they look
on
really
Twitter
good.
and
Yeah,
YouTube. But
yeah,
like, you only need one or two, and they got to work for your group, you
that's right.
know?
Yeah. So that's what I'm kind of, about your evaluation. How did you do as a coach? How did your assistants do? How did the players do? How did this one particular drill work? Right. So have something again quick, right? Did it work? Did it not work? Or I got to make a couple tweaks. Write it down.
Yep.
Um, write notes on your practice plan. That you're gonna, maybe quickly, rate everything 1 to 3, whatever it might be, and then
Right, and then
compare
move
those
on.
things.
And I'll give you, from someone that's coached a really long time. If it in taught in a classroom for a really long time, um, if it's not working, dump it.
Okay,
Don't, like,
quick.
I mean, it
Yeah,
was really hard for me early, both teaching and coaching, which is the same thing, but in different venues,
yeah,
to let things go. Like, oh, we got to get, nope, done. We'll come back to it tomorrow. Or we won't do it. Doesn't
yeah,
work, you know?
yeah.
Um,
I
you
think
know.
that's really one of the important keys, especially
Yeah.
if you have limited practice time.
It does. It does. All right. So let's give a big shout out to Game Changer here. We're almost done, but Game Changer again, give that URL,
Yeah,
coach.
it's gc.com/coaching youth hoops. Go check them out. Free app. Add it to your toolbox this year, coaches. Try it out. Worst you can do is not use it. But
Download it.
I think
And
once you have
yeah,
it,
I'll
you'll
hold up
love
my
it.
phone. I got lots of things on here that I've downloaded and haven't necessarily used, but you'll
Game
use
changer
Game
will not be
Changer.
one. You'll use
They
it
will
for sure
not.
if you're a coach.
It
So
will. All right. So go through the framework real quick again for people. We'll put it down in the notes with
yeah,
a couple special things too.
that's right. So, okay, think about conditioning in your practice plans. How are you incorporating that? Are they incorporated into your drills, your objectives? Make sure you're communicating, you know what you want to achieve on any one particular practice. Your mechanics, those fundamental skills you need to implement your offense, your defense, the ball handling type of stuff as well. And then incorporating play into practice. This is the big category. Everything should be about play. And then evaluating that particular practice. What was it? What drills work? What drills didn't? Your team building exercises, which I want to come back to this one
Yep.
when I'm done. I got a good one for you. It was kind of fun. And then end of game, or this is end game. This is your how do you leave the gym? Do you do a huddle? Do you have a chant that you say at the
He's not
end?
talking about special situations.
Yeah,
That should be so far down the road you don't
yeah,
worry about it.
exactly.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And maybe just having a quick review with your assistants as well at the end. Again, this stuff is quick. It shouldn't take you a long time, but the compete framework. If you do these things and incorporate it into your practices, you will see how quickly you can get through things, advance things, how quickly your kids will also advance, and their skills will improve. But like team building is a great example. I had a player who showed up to camp, the last day camp, she brought a pie. Okay. I'm like, oh, this is nice. She brought a pie for everybody. And so now the last day of our camps, our team bonding exercise is we call it pie day.
She
So the
brought a
last,
pie, like
yeah,
and plates and things to eat the
yeah,
pie with.
yeah.
One pie for the whole team.
It was a small camp. It was a small focused camp.
Okay, okay, because
So yeah.
I'm going like
No, no, no. It
we're gonna
wasn't
have
like
to bring
200
like
people. No, 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 no. Loaves and fishes, right?
yeah,
Um,
yes.
uh, so no, no, no. It was a small specialized camp, and there was 15 players there, I think, and somebody else ended up bringing something else, but as well, and I brought something, but I didn't anticipate it. So we had fun with it. They're like, "Oh my gosh, it's so unique! Bringing a pie." So that was like, it was a pie, right? And
Right.
now the last day of camp practice is called Pie Day, and people bring in pies, treats, whatever, and it's become this fun little tradition we have. But we take 5 minutes to eat a piece of pie and we're out the door.
I
But
know.
doesn't have to be a lot of these team building exercises, but those things bring team
Work.
people
They
together.
work.
Yes.
It's
So
not about the X's and O's. It's about the Janes and Jills or
Jimmy's and yeah,
whatever.
yeah, James
Joes
and
and whatever it
Jones,
is.
Jimmy's and Janes.
Jimmy and Janes. It's
Yeah.
not about the X's and O's.
So
All right. All right. Anything else, coach?
yeah, and actually, go to we have a well, I guess there's two things we could talk about. Free coaches clinic. So go check that out. Steve and I are going to come your way for a 3-hour in-person coaches clinic. And there's still time to apply if you go to coachingyouthhoops.com/clinic. Add your group's name down there, and one lucky winner will, or maybe more than one, we'll see. We'll get a free clinic with Steve and I. The other thing to check,
Priceless. Priceless.
yeah,
Priceless.
yeah. That's right. That'll be fun.
Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. No, sorry. I can't. I'm aging myself. What am I
Yeah,
doing? Go
you
ahead.
got to
Sorry.
think of new ones,
I
coach.
know. I do. I
Really,
do.
right?
I do.
And then go to, if you want the 283-point checklist for planning your season. I know it sounds big,
It is big, coach.
but it is detailed.
It
We
is.
spent a
It is.
lot of time on breaking down all those little questions and little things that you should be asking yourself that I wish I knew
Yep.
when I was started coaching. And again, if something doesn't apply to you, just skip that chapter and move on. but it's all there. And so you're not caught off guard and, oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, I forgot to plan for that. It should be all in that checklist. And it's a series of questions that you can ask yourself. And that you can find at coachingyouthhoops.com/season dash checklist. Again,
Okay.
coachingyouthhoops.com season dash checklist.
Perfect.
Great.
All right. Till next week, coach.
Till next week, coach.
All right. Bye.
See ya.